terrible neighbors today, and one's from the HOA. Our first story is called Neighbors That Will Never Be Satisfied, posted by Maggie 102899. So our neighbors of a few years have increasingly caused issues with us over how we do things in our yard. When my mom tried to build a fence to separate us, they protested and got our other neighbors' support. Their current issue with us is that our sprinklers have been staining their driveway. My mom has gotten our landscaper to adjust the sprinklers at least 3 times already, but the husband keeps complaining even though the water barely gets on their driveway. I wonder how he feels when it rains, jeez. My sister saw him in our yard messing with our sprinklers the other day. We don't know what to do. Just now, my mom was watering our plants and both the wife and husband came outside to berate her. The husband started yelling at her and the wife ordered his little witch self inside, but then she continued to yell at my mom. They're always watching us. I don't feel comfortable swimming in our pool, which is such a shame and waste. We just got it remodeled. We are getting the landscaper to come out this week to fix the sprinklers again, but we know they'll just complain again. Any ideas? This causes my mom so much stress, and the wife is always acting innocent and confused as to why my mom gets upset with her. It causes stress throughout our whole family. My little sister is breaking down in tears right now. There's a lot more information that I can share to clear things up, but I just wanted to share what their current complaint was to us. They will never leave us alone. Once we fix one thing for them, they find another. And no, we're not going to move. We've lived in this house for over 20 years. This commenter gives OP a suggestion and we get an HOA answer back. Put up a fence, tell the jerks to stay off your property and call the police if they harass you. And OP says, initially we had HOA rules saying that we couldn't put up a wooden fence, and thanks to these neighbors and them trying to get more rules enacted, the HOA for our neighborhood eventually disbanded. While all of this was happening and my mom was believing she couldn't build a fence, she instead got bushes planted that are meant to grow and give us privacy, spending a lot of money instead of spending it on a fence. These bushes are still knee level even after 2 years, so it's going to take a while. We've even had to deplant a few bushes because of these neighbors. We have a creek running behind both our backyards, and sometimes the city needs to come and check the pipeline that runs through it, and our neighbors wouldn't allow the city to drive on their driveway, so we had to move 4 of those bushes so they could get access and drive through our yard on the grass. Now those bushes are sitting in 4 pots awaiting to be moved if needed. When we first got the bushes, a lot of them had been dying for no reason, and we had to get them replaced. We have a suspicion that our neighbors tampered with them because our landscaper said it looks like someone put something on the bushes to kill it, and we would never do this. These bushes are right next to their driveway, by the way. We also had individual sprinklers placed to water each bush, but they kept malfunctioning or getting cut. Like, come on, that has to be them. So, this definitely hasn't helped in their growth and is another reason we have our regular sprinklers on. Now my mom has to walk out and manually water each bush. My mom spent all this money for an alternative for a fence and is very hesitant about building an actual one. Also, if we did build one, our neighbors would give us absolute heck and the city wouldn't be able to access the pipeline in our creek. We'd have to dig up all of the bushes and move the fence over to give them enough clearance. My mom now regrets this decision. Also, the wife is always texting my mom complaining about things, and I've told my mom to block her number, but she can still come out and yell at us in person. Any more ideas or thoughts? Another update. Whenever I do go outside, whether in my backyard or pool, which unfortunately faces their house, the dad always seems to come outside to do something like wash his car or mow. Also, he mows at least 10 times a week or does the leaf blower early in the morning and during the day multiple times and awakes me from sleeping and naps. My family thinks it's his way of getting away from his wife, so he keeps everything pristine outside so he doesn't have to deal with her inside. I've also seen them looking out their kitchen window into our yard on several occasions. I will mention, we never had any problems with them until my dad died a few years ago, and the wife even mentioned the first time they complained about something that my dad would have been more compliant, that they never had any issues with him, but that was before they started complaining. My dad never did anything to help around in the backyard, so it's not like anything has changed. It actually looks a little nicer now. We've added a stone pathway and an arch with flowers around it and so on. Super good comment says, ignore, wear headphones, do not react. Seriously, no reaction will kill her. If she escalates into violence, throwing things and so on, call the cops and always record her. No reaction. Seriously. And OP unfortunately says, I'll get my mom to try this, but the wife literally gaslights my mom by saying, I don't know why you're mad, we've always been nice to you. She acts innocent and confused as to why my mom is angry. It's infuriating. And we have an answer. I'm putting up these privacy fence screens around the metal fence that surrounds our pool for a little more privacy. I'm doubling them for even more privacy. My mom doesn't love the look of them though, but this is a temporary fix for a little more privacy. All I gotta say, after living near bad neighbors and good neighbors, you really grow to appreciate those awesome neighbors that you live near that leave you alone and not the bad ones that creep you out when they're beside of you. Neighbors trespassing because they don't like my yard, posted by Lizarding Loudly. Hi there. I live in a pretty quiet neighborhood in a small town. I've never been one for lawn maintenance. I actually hate lawns and view them as a frickin' scam. And my next door neighbor to the east is obsessed with her lawn, watering it every day, even in 100-degree weather, mowing it once a week, having her grandson mow, I should say. It's always dark green with no weeds. That's fine with me. It's her yard. However, I don't believe in wasting water for vanity, nor do I like emissions from lawnmowers. I have an electric one. Have I ever, or would I ever, say anything about this to her? Nope, because again, it's her lawn. I'm sure you can see where this is going. I let my lawn get pretty long, mostly from how busy I am. On top of a full-time job, half an hour away, I'm a gigging musician and spend several weeknights and weekends out of town. I also just don't really believe in lawns. I'm hoping to plant a clover one this fall after I check city ordinances. It doesn't help either that it took a while to get my hands on a string trimmer, and I was only very recently able to afford the yard cart to have the city take yard waste to the compost pile. I refuse to just throw it away. Organic matter does not need to go into the regular trash. Anyways, I guess between her, the house directly across the street, and my neighbors on the other side, this has become a hot topic and one they discuss between themselves. Recently, someone called the city on me over the backyard, which no one can see except for a glimpse from each direct neighbor's driveway. Also, the daughter-in-law of the neighbor to the east has messaged me asking if I would please let her son mow because my yard is affecting her mother-in-law's sanity, and has also offered to come help because my neighbors are really upset about it. Multiple times this week, someone had come onto my property to mow or weed whack or move stuff around while I'm at work. They don't talk to me about it first, they don't leave a note, they just do it. Someone also broke some of the pots on my side porch, which I realized may have been an accident, but it's still annoying. I got home from work last night intending to mow the front because it is a little long even for me. I spent time a few days ago pulling weeds in preparation to mow, even making sure to cut off the blown dandelion heads and then throw them in the waste bin separately so it wouldn't spread seeds. I have to mow the lawn in segments so my mower can charge, but when I got home yesterday, someone had already mowed. I have been making progress in other areas, cleaning up leaves, putting more stuff in the garage so it's not visible, and so on. I'd like to think they're being helpful, but I'm almost positive they're doing it for them, not me. I don't like that they're coming onto my property without asking. I don't want to create a huge rift in the neighborhood, but it's so annoying. In my opinion, if your neighbor's yard bothers you so much, talk to them directly or go to therapy or both. Should I leave everyone a note asking them to please stay off my property? Visit houses individually? Like I said, I'm not wanting to get antagonistic about it, but I seriously want everyone to stop getting in my stuff. I'm sure to some people I am the neighbor from heck, and that's fine if that's how you feel. I understand that everyone values different things. Update from OP. A commenter says, I wish my neighbors would mow my lawn. I have to pay somebody to mow it. And OP says, I've gone that route in the past. Jerk just ran over some of my flowers with his mower, obviously pretty ones that were under the mailbox and had every right to be there. And he said he wouldn't mow unless I paid him to come every week, which I understand from a business model point of view, but I don't make that kind of money for that kind of expense. One commenter jumps on OP and says, not believing in lawn care does not mean you don't have to maintain it. Either put the clover lawn in ASAP or cut your grass before it becomes a jungle. And OP replies, it's maintained, just not up to their standards, I guess. I'm hoping to work in the clover lawn in this fall. It can't be planted when it's too awful hot, and it's in the hundreds every day around here for a while. Great comment here. An overgrown yard isn't just an eyesore, it's a breeding ground for snakes and rodents. That does affect your neighbors. And what about your property value and how it looks too? So look, you gotta maintain your lawn. I just recently bought a Husqvarna zero-turn mower, and I love it. Absolutely amazing mower. You gotta try a zero-turn if you never have. I'm sold on it for life. And actually, you know what? I'm gonna go mow tomorrow, and I am gonna enjoy myself in the hot 90-degree weather. I hope so, at least. I'm filing a lawsuit, posted by American Water Lily, with more info in the comments. I work part-time at a store known for home decor and kitchen accessories. This is a really good job for me to have while I'm still in college. I've had my fair share of weird experiences with customers, but no one has been outwardly rude or verbally abusive towards me. As a former barista, I really appreciate this aspect. This specific incident occurred last week when I was closing. It was probably around 8 p.m. when I heard a loud crash from where I was up at the registers. My first instinct was to assume that someone was having a heart attack or a seizure, so immediately I run towards the sound of yelling. As a quick side note, our store has an undercover police detective who helps with loss and prevention. He was there that evening and immediately told me to go back to the registers because there was blood everywhere. A few customers told me what was going on, and then I was asked to help clean up the blood. We have proper sanitation equipment to do this without it becoming a hazard. I was still confused as heck until our detective came and told me everything. When I asked him what had happened, he said, "Some lady injured herself on purpose and got blood everywhere. She keeps yelling in the bathroom that she's going to sue the company." I asked him if he was sure she did it on purpose, and he said he saw the whole thing on the security cameras. I was pretty speechless at this point. We've never had this happen at our store. I ended up seeing the lady on her way out, and the craziest thing was that her injury was minor. She also kept claiming that she was a nurse, yet somehow managed to get blood everywhere. What kind of nurse doesn't know how dangerous blood can be? Before she left, she said over and over, "I'm filing a lawsuit. You guys are messed up." We ended up leaving an hour after we were supposed to because of the mess. I can't wait until her lawyer sees the video footage and comes to the same conclusion the rest of us did. Updates. Someone suggested this Karen does not have a lawyer, and OP says, "I know, it was just kind of amusing to hear her whining about it." This is a funny story here. I would love to see her face when she hears about the video, Red Truck 007 says. "I worked loss prevention many years ago when slip and pay was big. I had a report of a guy slipping and called the police because he was being way too loud about it. The cop shows up and asks for his ID, looks at it a second, and informs the guy he was the same cop to take his slipping report down the street 2 days ago. He left with the officer." Someone asked OP, "So what actually happened? How did she purposely hurt herself? If the injury was minor, why was there so much blood?" OP says, "The area where she cut herself bleeds a lot, but she didn't hurt herself that badly. She didn't need stitches or an ER visit. She kept waving her hand around and the blood splattered everywhere." So she purposely cut her hand open on a sharp item exposed in your store? Sort of. She dropped the item and it broke, and she intentionally cut her hand from one of the pieces. My store is super careful about anything sharp. Most sharper items are wrapped packaging. They're never just out on the floor for people to hurt themselves on accident. I totally would have said something, but she actually looked like she may have been high on drugs, so I chose not to get involved. She is now banned from the store, though. So true. I hear of people threatening to sue and then getting laughed at by the judge. I'm sure it happens a lot. Oh, Karen, if you're going to cut yourself like this and then try to just say, "I'm going to sue you," then yeah, you deserve to be in trouble. Jeez. HOA story time. It's called Unintended and Unwelcome Consequences, with an update from OP Colorado expat. Picky, noisy neighbors who have the president of the local homeowners association on speed dial are a real nuisance. One day a few years ago, my faithful old Volvo gave up the ghost. The automatic transmission was slowly going out. The final blow was when an oil line to an external oil filter developed a pinhole leak and the engine seized when all the oil escaped. I had the car towed home and it sat in the driveway for a month or so while I tried to decide what to do with it. The options being to replace both the engine and transmission or to sell it off cheap either for parts or to someone who wanted to get it running again. I finally, reluctantly, decided to let it go. I'd miss it, as it had been probably the best car that I'd ever had, and I'd done some serious upgrades and improvement to it. About this time, my neighbor called the HOA to complain that I had a junk car in the driveway that I was parting out. To hear her version, the president expected to see something on cinder blocks with no doors, the hood up, and no engine. The truth was that it was still intact, with current license plates and insurance. There was no way to tell from looking at it that it wasn't running. Nevertheless, I was given 1 week to either fix the car or have it gone. The busybody neighbor was known for being extremely conservative. She made teabaggers seem middle of the road. One of the things which she had a particular dislike for was the local NPR radio station, which was associated with the local university. The station was running a fundraiser at the time, so I decided to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. I donated the car to the radio station. The appointed Saturday came around, and the car was being picked up by a tow truck when she came out to watch the proceedings with a smug look. She commented to me that it was about time that piece of junk was being removed. When I replied that I donated it to the local NPR station, her smug look was instantly replaced by horror, quickly followed by livid anger. She stalked back into her house and slammed the door. I was happy that even to the last, my trusty Volvo had been useful. This was enough to satisfy me. There's a line between payback and harassment. Also, I didn't think a vendetta would have been justified. Her complaints have since become self-defeating. The HOA pretty much ignores her now. She switched her focus to a couple of young families who moved in. Her take of parents and their friends sitting out on the front porch, watching their kids playing, took the form of alleging gang activity. The HOA found that accusation to be so over the top, they now blow off her complaints. Nothing better than getting revenge on a terrible neighbor and doing it in a way that just makes their blood boil. Way to go, OP. HOA breaks the law. I take them to court and lawyer up with final updates. Click the video on your screen. You don't want to miss the fallout at the end of this story, and I will see you there.